Today is one of the biggest and most nerve-wracking days of my life. You see, I own a business called Cookie Munchers with my ex-boyfriend and best friend Brandon. We have started it and own it for 4 years since we graduated college. But as of right now, Brandon is no longer an owner of Cookie Munchers. This morning I woke up in a rush to sign this incredibly life-changing paperwork at the bank and then had to fly all the way to go see my sister for her birthday week. You don't understand. For you to understand why this is so crazy and scary for me, we need to look back on our journey and we need to look back on today. Me and Brandon met sophomore year of college and we quickly started spending so much time together doing just crazy college shenanigans. I had plans to study abroad in my junior year and he had plans to become a resident assistant at our college. So that would mean that we'd be apart for 6 months. Well, at least we thought he was gonna be a resident assistant. When he was away for the weekend, his roommate threw a party in his college dorm room and got a violation. This made it so even though he wasn't there, he was taken out of the running to become a resident assistant. He was upset, but I made a crazy suggestion and said, "You should come to Australia with me." His answer, hell yes. This was actually Brandon's first time on a plane and it was over 40 hours of just plane rides and layovers. After getting back from Australia, we moved into a house with some roommates and continued our college shenanigans. The next summer, I received an internship in Minneapolis, an 18-hour drive from our university. We were quickly split apart again. That being said, about a month into my internship, I realized I just didn't want to be there. Once again, I called Brandon up and said, "Do you want to ditch your summer job and quit and go on a road trip across the USA with me?" He said yes. Neither of us had much money saved up, but we had a tent and we had a car, and that was all we really needed. About a week later, I picked him up from the airport in Minneapolis and we headed our way toward California, stopping at every awesome thing along the way. 2 months later, we made it back to our college in New Jersey. We even got into a race with Red Bull our last semester in college. Red Bull actually flew us out to Europe. We had to make it across Europe with no phone and no money in 7 days. 8 countries, 7 days. In those 7 days, we really tested our own abilities, which was something that I honestly used so much at Cookie Munchers, was learning how to take risks, learning how to go out there and just do it, how to ask for things. We had to hitchhike, we had to find food, we had to hop trains. Anyway, moving on. In one of our last weeks of college, we tested out the concept for Cookie Munchers. In the beginning, the concept was super sketchy. You could only order through Facebook and it was cash only. Honestly, I don't even know if I would have ordered from us. Wherever these cookies come from, no one knew, but college students for some reason still ordered them. We had a few orders that week and then we decided to keep the concept on our mind. In 2016, after Brandon and I had been best friends for 2 years and dating a portion of that time, we graduated college. At this point, we'd already traveled across 8 countries together. I moved to Maine for the summer and he stayed in New Jersey. It was that summer when we spoke over the phone and decided we wanted to start Cookie Munchers. We wanted to travel the world and be entrepreneurs. Brandon spent the summer learning how to build a website and I spent the summer working on the recipes and finding a place we could work out of. That ended up being a local bagel shop. We met back up in September when we were given the go by the bagel shop to get started. The first night, none of our friends were available. It was just Brandon and me. That was it. It was an absolute mess. Orders were going out so late and there was a reporter just following us around through this chaos. Brandon was the only driver and I was the only baker. We did this for 9 months and we had so much fun. We danced on stages, we catered cookies, we played with toys in the shop. Don't get me wrong, it was insanely hard work and we were working most of the time, but we had a blast. After 9 months, it left us with we were debating on if we should travel or if we should start a storefront. Brandon and I were at a total standstill because we started this business to travel, but at the same time, it became our baby and we loved it. We ended up deciding we were gonna start the business the whole way. We were getting our own storefront. We started our storefront. Our grand opening was one of the most magical days of our lives. In between running that storefront, once we got an awesome management team on board and a great team just behind us, we were able to travel for a bunch of months and run the storefront in between.
This is your baby, dude. This is your baby right here.
It's surreal. I mean, you work and work and work and you hope it pays off, and then just to see it actually pay off, it's just it feels good.
Honestly, in many ways, even though we weren't traveling full time, it was a dream come true. This is when we traveled to Iceland. We were in Iceland for my entire birthday and it was so much fun. On our last night in Iceland, I remember we were sitting there staring at a waterfall. It was one of the most beautiful waterfalls that I have ever seen in my life. And while looking at it, we were deciding, should we start another location or should we keep traveling? Brandon and I must have sat at this waterfall for over 2 hours just talking back and forth on what we should do, what our future should hold. And not gonna lie, we were crying. And I'm starting to cry right now, oh god. We were crying looking at this waterfall for a few reasons. Number one, we were excited for the future and we were so proud of ourselves for everything we had achieved. Our second reason was we were just so happy to be traveling and Iceland was just so beautiful and we just loved this experience that Cookie Munchers had brought for us. And number three, because we knew we needed a second location. We wanted a second location that could be the perfect model for franchising our awesome concept. We wanted to spread our Dream Bring brand around the USA, even if it meant putting travel on hold for a bit longer. This is when we flew back to Cookie Munchers and we asked our management team, how are you guys doing? And everything was fine. The place is not on fire. The place was doing actually great. So we left out for the day looking for a franchise location actually in New Jersey, but we didn't find anything we liked. So we kept traveling. We went to Delaware, we went to Maryland, we went to Virginia. We just kept going down and then we're like, what are we doing? We haven't found anything we want yet. So we decided to just pull over at a Wendy's and Brandon went to the bathroom. I'm Googling on my computer a bunch of different stuff to try to figure out like where should this location be? And for some reason, I found Florida. I found like a few different locations in Florida that I'm like, Brandon, like, how about Florida? Is that crazy? And he was like, no, yeah, let's do it. Let's go right now. And I was like, we only packed it up for a day. We weren't planning on going on like a few day trip down to Florida, but it didn't matter. We were like, you know what? We have enough stuff. We called the manager, you good for a few days? And she said yes. And there we were, literally leaving for the day, but we were on our way to Florida. It took a few days in Florida of us traveling around to different locations until we found the perfect one. This location was a struggle. We hired a terrible contractor. We made so many mistakes, but we learned so much at the same time. And within just a few months, the location was built and we had an awesome, refined concept of Cookie Munchers. We even tried to have a grand opening. Well, we did have one, but we didn't have a ribbon cutting because Brandon kind of missed that day. If you guys remember back, he got into a horrific car accident that day and called me right before the ribbon cutting when I'm trying to run the whole shop and he was like telling me, crying about this car accident. And I'm like, what is happening? And I had to still function that entire day on no sleep from the night before. We ran that for a few months. In between, we were traveling, we were having fun, we were still running Cookie Munchers and seeing how that location did. We were lucky enough to go to a tuk-tuk race across Sri Lanka. We decked the Cookie Tuk-Tuk out to be literally a Cookie Tuk-Tuk. No one fully understood what our Cookie Tuk-Tuk was about, but at the time we were raising money for an awesome cause for rainforest and we were using Cookie Munchers brand to do it. We had a pretty rocky road from the location along the way. I mean, there was a lot of different hiccups, but me and Brandon were always able to put out the fire. We always came back when we were needed and we were traveling in between, and honestly, it was amazing. During this whole time, Brandon and I got split up a little bit. He had to be in Jersey for a bit, I had to be in Tampa for a bit, and honestly, a lot of these things just took a huge toll on our relationship. By that I mean our personal relationship as boyfriend-girlfriend. As you guys saw in a past video, we did end up breaking up. That being said, we are still best friends and we are still super close. And all of those memories bring us to today, where Brandon sold all of his portions of Cookie Munchers. I'll announce to who in tomorrow's daily vlog, because this video is only really supposed to be about Brandon and me. Brandon's ready to take on the world with a bunch of things that he has in the works, and honestly, I'm so proud of him. I said I wasn't gonna cry during this video. We've grown so much as people, entrepreneurs, and travelers by dreaming big through Cookie Munchers. Brandon will still be remaining on the board of directors to help guide the direction of Cookie Munchers. Don't worry, he couldn't fully leave us. So that's why this video is a tribute to Brandon. This is not supposed to be a sad video, though I'm not gonna lie, I have cried a few times, and it has definitely been hard for me. This video is a memory of our past relationships in all forms. Friend, then best friend, then boyfriend, then business partner, then best friend. It's a celebration of his future careers, life endeavors, and most importantly, big dreams. And on top of all of that, it's a huge cheers to my best friend. Cheers, Brand. is not supposed to be a sad video, though I'm not gonna lie, I have cried a few times, and it has definitely been hard for me. This video is a memory of our past relationships in all forms. Friend, then best friend, then boyfriend, then business partner, then best friend.